crucial elements of Zen to do what you want. If you are hungry, eat, and if you are tired, sleep. In other words, just do what you feel like doing. In the Western world, many believe that doing what you want will result in suffering or ruin. They even believe in silly ideas such as that suppressing our thoughts, feelings, and desires is synonymous with moral superiority. In fact, several experiments have contradicted these Western postulates. Western culture is fundamentally inhibiting. The idea of educating ourselves and cultivating ourselves consists of learning to avoid unwanted thoughts, behaviors, and emotions, and it is hammered into our brains from the moment we are born. We learn at an early age that doing what we want is stupid and immature. Crucial Zen elements for doing what you want. The crucial Zen elements tell us otherwise. They say that repression ends up encouraging doing exactly what is forbidden. I hesitate to use the word freedom because it is precisely in the name of freedom that crimes against humanity are committed. This situation is certainly not new in history. Poverty and exploitation are products of economic freedom. In time, people were freed all over the world from their lords and masters, and their new freedom proved to be subjection, not to the rules of the laws, but to the rules of the laws of the others. What started as a subjugation by force quickly became voluntary slavery, cooperating to reproduce a society that makes slavery more and more acceptable and rewarding. Herbert Marcuse. To do, not to do what you feel like doing. Margaret Mead's anthropological studies reveal different types of societies with very different values and norms. She directs your attention to various factors. Among them, in both patriarchal and matriarchal societies, there is a higher percentage of homosexuality. From the Western point of view, it will be a contradiction. From a Zen point of view, it is a logical consequence of taboos and prohibitions. When we talk about prohibition, a good example is the consumption of alcohol in the United States. When it was illegal, people consumed it more and there was even an increase in the mafia. And contrary to their prediction, the number of consumers did not increase when alcohol became legal again. In fact, there are now more illegal drug users than alcohol users. These data point to the fact that suppression is not a way of dealing with desires. Zen encourages the opposite. It encourages us to honor these forbidden thoughts, feelings, and desire to try to understand them. Furthermore, it believes that the best way to eliminate them is to experience them. In fact, there are some experiments that prove it. An experiment according to doing what you want. Professor Carey Morch of Boston University conducted an interesting study on this topic. Together with his team, they collected 200 people who claimed to love chocolate. These volunteers were divided into two groups. The first group had to imagine eating 30 pieces of chocolate, one by one. However, the other group had to imagine that they only ate 3 pieces of chocolate instead of 30. The researchers left a bowl filled with fine chocolate in front of both groups. Of all the participants, the assumption was that the group that fantasized about eating 30 pieces of chocolate would feel a greater desire to eat chocolate. However, the experiment proved the opposite. In reality, those who fantasized about eating 30 pieces of chocolate did not take anything from the bowl. Conversely, those who could only fantasize about eating 3 pieces of chocolate had a need to try a few pieces. Oppressive thoughts. Professor Carey Morch concluded that when you try to stop thinking about something, the opposite happens. In fact, we think more about it. For example, if we don't want to think about ghosts, then we will see ghosts everywhere. The suppression of thoughts therefore directs our attention to what we are trying to suppress. This finding assumes that if we think about doing what we really want, then our desire is likely to lose strength. However, We can fantasize about certain things at specific moments. Thus, having a desire to attack someone and actually doing so are not the same thing. According to this logic, thinking about how we would attack this person may actually decrease our desire to attack them. The brain does not distinguish reality from fantasy. It is a malfunction in our system that can help us in various situations. When what we want to do goes against ourselves and others, then there is nothing better than fantasizing about doing what we want. It can make the desire lose its strength.